So here we are. We got the GH6, we got the G9 II. We're kind of waiting for this official June 5th announcement. By reading the title, you'll probably know what this is before me, although we all kind of know, right? But we've got about 14 minutes, so I just want to talk about some of my predictions. I've seen a few rumors. I don't know what to say, but it kind of seems like we're getting a GH6 with the G9 II sensor and some of the other features that the S5 IIX has gotten recently, and maybe even some stuff from the S9. We've heard some stuff about internal ProRes RAW, things like that. I wonder if there's going to be any other significant upgrades, or if it's just going to be all those updated features coming to a new GH body. Either way, I'm going to be happy. Hopefully we get a few new surprises in here, maybe some internal NDs, maybe we've got dual CF Express cards, maybe we have a battery grip attachment or option, maybe this XLR unit is bigger than I can imagine in terms of like its power and redesign instead of just a version 2 refresh of the XLR1. And in my opinion, the GH6 still has the best body design in the Micro Four Thirds world, maybe the best in terms of usability body design in Micro Four Thirds and Lumix history, even if it is not the cutest camera ever made. I really want to love this camera. I would love to pick it up. I'm not sure the time frame for that, but if it's got internal ND filters, it's a pre-order. I'll pre-order on camera. Well, maybe not. Maybe. So, just like always, I'm too stupid to actually do a live stream, so I recorded my reaction, and just like with the GH6 and some other releases, I'm way too bored just watching myself to even edit this, so I'm kind of just going to fast forward through this, but I thought the presentation was overall fine, and I'm sure we'll hear much more about this camera in the future. I liked the recap of the Lumix GH line and the Micro Four Thirds stuff, and I thought it was cool that Sean got to shoot in the Batcave. Anyway, let's go to my post thoughts on the video. All right, that might be it. I'm not sure. We'll see if it goes any further, but yeah, that's it. Wow, okay. So, interesting. So no internal ND, nothing super crazy. Like I was thinking. I've been thinking about this, and I'm like, I feel like this is going to be more of a GH2 to a GH3 than like a GH4 to a GH5. You know what I mean? There's nothing life-changing. It's really good. It's better than the GH6. It solves a lot of issues. I've tested this a little bit, so spoilers for upcoming videos, but the G9 II sensor is a lot better with streaking, which I do think is a bit of an issue in the GH6 that I haven't come up with much, but, half a dozen times, somewhere in there, it's showed up on some level. And so obviously it being solved a little bit better would be nice. The phase detect, the better dynamic range boost going to 500 rather than 2000. I think it's really great. I wonder if there's any other under the hood things like better rolling shutter or things like that, but in general, it's about what I expected, and it's about what people are asking for. And, I think some people are going to be disappointed. I think some people are going to be really hyped. If you're the filmmakers who just are using manual focus 90% of the time, then this isn't the camera for you probably. You could stick with the GH6, I think, easily. What I wanted, like one more little cool feature just for the GH7. I've probably been saying GH6 this whole time, by the way. Maybe, but at the same time, I think for me, the overheating is a little bit of a big deal for the G9 II. Do I want to deal with the fan for all this time? Not really. And the reason I got the G9 II was because I was under no impressions that they would release the GH7 this year. I really thought it was going to be, next year was going to be an S1H2 or a GH7 or both. And the fact that we got it this year now is interesting, to say the least. So, yeah, I wish there was one more maybe feature. I'm very curious to hear more about this new XLR. It looked a lot better and beefier. They gave us all the hints when the G9 II came out. This is not a video camera. This is not a video camera. Blah, 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 blah. That is like, subliminal messages of like, don't get it. The GH7 is coming, And I didn't listen. I thought it would be longer, to be fair. but I'm very excited for what this camera can do. Will I buy the Log C? No, probably not, because I'm not really in that world. But it's one of those things where I think this is perfect for a lot of people, and for a lot of other people, it's going to be kind of irrelevant, which is fine. Not every camera is for every person. Not every person needs to buy every single upgrade. A lot of people say they wait every other generation on the GH cameras to pick one because the upgrade is so huge, from the GH4 to the GH6 or the GH5 to the GH7. It's going to be massive, right? And that's fine. So no internal NDs. Does that mean no pre-order? I think so. I'm not sure. I have to check my bank account and maybe move a couple of these cameras that I already have around. Is this enough for me to sell my full frame stuff? If I was gonna, I've said this before, I'm gonna say it again. If I sell anything, it's gonna be my full frame stuff, not Micro Four Thirds. I just love the format, the lenses, the form factor, and the variety and range of that system so much more. It's not even funny. But yeah, I don't know. I guess stay posted to this channel for more G9 II stuff, which we can test a lot of the sensor capabilities of the GH7 on the G9 II. But not everything, and so I guess we'll see. Maybe Panasonic sends me one. I've got some short films coming up, Panasonic. I could really use it. I could really use the help. Oh, man. Internal RAW. I don't know if people realize how big of a deal that is. Nothing does internal RAW. And let's maybe with fingers crossed, we can hope to see B-RAW internally eventually. You know how sometimes they like update the cameras like a couple months out down the line? I think that's might be what happens. Otherwise, we can still record externally, but the biggest advantage of B-RAW is the smaller size and the highlight recovery, in my opinion. Maybe there's more advantages that someone else could inform me about, but I don't know. What do you guys think about the GH7? I'm probably going to have more thoughts in the future. I wish there was one more extra little spicy feature, but I think if you can do B-RAW, RE RAW, and ProRes RAW in one camera, that is kind of crazy just by itself. And I think, especially with internal image stabilization and phase detect autofocus, that's kind of a huge deal in a lot of ways. And maybe not for everybody, maybe it's more specific. I don't shoot a lot of RAW, even though I would maybe like to on some projects. But yeah, I think this is a good move. The GH6 is kind of gonna be relegated to kind of a stopgap camera status. You know, they couldn't wait any longer to put that camera out. It was 5 years, everybody. Like, we can't forget, we were all asking for it, and they could have put it out into the world when they did and be like, listen, there it is. It's still DFD. Filmmakers rejoice. If you want to phase detect, I'm sorry. Or they could have waited so long that, you know what I mean? If they released this camera without, if this was the GH6, the GH7 was the GH6, and they skipped the GH6, that would have been like 7 or almost 8 years between cameras. That is ludicrous. Like, no, that's just not realistic. And so, is it unfortunate that GH6 had such a quick turnaround? Yes, maybe, but Panasonic has entered an entire new stage of their company with phase detect autofocus, and that was going to come at some point or another. So it is what it is. I totally get it. And another thought I had while cooking dinner was, we got to remember, while this is pretty similar to the GH6, we're talking about the first form of the GH7 compared to the final version of the GH6. So will some of the things that we want addressed be addressed on some level? Maybe. I wouldn't count on it. I never counted on updates to fix a camera. But if anyone's going to do it, it's going to be Panasonic. Yeah, I'm very excited to see more about some of the nitty-gritty details of this camera. So I'm about to go check out some of these videos you guys have probably already seen, see if anybody is making videos on this camera, and, you know, finally, oh, Gerald. Gerald's video, Panasonic Lumix GH7, was I wrong? Is that a reference to my video? Why do I feel like he remembers my video on him from the GH6 release? That's interesting. I've got thoughts, but I'm not going to say them. All right, see you guys.